Hello, you guys. Can you see me okay? Welcome back and welcome during the most special season of the year, which is October, our spooky Halloween season. And doing cosplay in October is like the most magical month to do it because for once during the year, everyone out there is getting creative, working on costumes, planning events where they're going to wear those costumes. And whether you're a cosplayer or you aren't a cosplayer, everyone is in this beautiful equal circle, and I love it so much. I've talked a little bit about me taking pictures in cosplay, and I will say that I have timed it so most of my outdoor cosplay pictures, like in local parks and stuff, end up happening in later September or in October. Because honestly, you get way less stares during that time of year, and most people think you're just on the way to a Halloween party. So if you're kind of like an awkward person when it comes to stranger interactions doing public cosplay, it's a great time to do it. Also, if you love Halloween candy and scary movies and Halloween decor as much as I do, this is also a great time of year to go shopping in the stores, to go wandering through the neighborhoods, to look at decorations, to see what everyone else has been up to in the world in regards to Halloween. So it's just such a special time of year. I really, really, really love October. Now today is a dreary, rainy, kind of spooky day in Washington. And I thought, ooh, it is a great time to come on here and bring up my next controversial topic when it comes to cosplay. Now, as I said in previous videos, I have a lot of ideas of things I want to talk to you guys about because I've been doing cosplay quite a long time. And so I do have, I think, kind of some very articulated opinions regarding certain subjects in cosplay, but I don't want to come on here and do videos until I have some things to back up these opinions, some facts to give you guys, and a lot of observations take a lot of notes for me to actually sit down and say them in a succinct, organized manner that actually makes sense. I don't like to do opinion-based stuff that's based solely on emotions because doing any hobby over a long period of time is going to make you a little bit jaded and a little bit kind of nasty in regards to very certain things because you probably are very comfortable in your hobby at this point and you probably have certain wants and needs that maybe people who are just starting the hobby don't quite have yet. So what I am doing today is we are going to talk about early 2000s cosplay versus what it's like doing cosplay today, 20 years later in 2023. Now, instead of doing an actual comparison, I am going to talk about a very particular opinion I have regarding this, which if you guys are looking at the title, you probably already know. But as I do all these videos, I come on here and I kind of say my personal belief regarding this subject and why I feel that way, what I've noticed, and hopeful changes that maybe the community can make in regards to any negative opinions I have. Anything spicy is going to have a little bit of negative in it. That's just how the world works. But we can work together to problem solve because we are very creative, smart people. I'm sure our community can do it. So, okay, my opinion, I'm sorry guys, but cosplay used to be significantly better 20 years ago. When I first started doing cosplay, I think the first time I ever did it was like 2007, 2008, versus my cosplays today. Obviously, I'm still doing the hobby, so I'm not that jaded. I haven't fallen off the face of the cosplay earth yet. I still go to conventions, I still make costumes, I still buy stuff, I still follow other cosplayers and watch other cosplay videos. But I will say, in general, being a cosplayer in the convention community, significantly better 20 years ago. So much. Physically, mentally, creatively, so many different aspects of it. Now, before I talk about why I feel this way and all the points I want to make, I need to bring up a couple things that are very, very important to know. So first off, as I said, my first convention was in 2007. I think my first cosplay was 2008. But I know that when someone finds their true calling, their true passion, whatever hobby is going to suck them in probably for the rest of their life, you have rose-tinted glasses for whatever era or decade you enter that hobby because the excitement of finding something new and getting your creative footing and learning just makes you feel so warm and fuzzy and nostalgic inside. It's why a lot of us who were born in the 80s and 90s have like a true love for toys and snacks around those periods. Like it just makes us feel so comforted and like friendly and happy to see those things. Cosplay for me in the early 2000s, I probably have quite a bit of bias because that is when I entered the cosplay world. So I'm sure people that did cosplay in the 80s when it started or in the 90s when it was starting to become a thing, they might have even better experiences than me, or maybe even after I was doing cosplay, people still are having good experiences. But specifically, we're going to be comparing kind of like this 2003 to 2007 kind of era of cosplay versus this era of the 2020s and what that looks like personally to me. And the other thing I wanted to touch base on is that influencers specifically have completely changed the cosplay game. They've not only changed how we do cosplay, but they have changed how the average person views cosplay significantly. And one of the things that I have tried to mention in as many videos as I possibly can is that cosplay was not always socially accepted. And I know that sounds weird, like a lot of people I'm sure are still bullied for doing cosplay. It is still a subculture. It is still something that isn't like as commonly known, but you can buy a lot of costumes in stores like Hot Topic at the mall. People know what cosplayers are. Like if you use the word cosplayer, people aren't scratching in their heads going like, what does this mean? Is this like a Japanese thing? Like what the hell is this? And when we are in a state where people know more about a subculture or hobby, you get more members joining that hobby who wouldn't have necessarily joined before because it's a little bit more welcoming and well known. And with that, we now have influencers. So people are watching everything these influencers do all the time, create all the time, how they're showing off their costumes, how they're showing off events they go to. And so because of this, we have a very strange double-edged sword where we have a bigger, more diverse community than we've ever had before, but we also have significantly more problems that we have never had before. So, you know, we're trying to problem solve all together for the first time, and it's difficult. So let's go into this. Let's talk about why do I think cosplay used to be so significantly better 20 years ago? Okay, nowadays we are going to talk about being seen in a cosplay. I know all of you guys have felt the pressure that it is more important to be seen in your cosplay than it is to even make it or wear it in general. And I am talking about the crazy weird thing, the phenomena going on where people are spending hundreds of dollars to get professional pictures taken of a cosplay that they don't even necessarily wear all day or to even more than one event. Now, this can totally feed into my overconsumption issue that I've tried to bring up and that I made my past video on. But when you are paying that much money and putting that much energy into literally just having people see you, and it's almost like you have to get proof that you did a cosplay, talking about it or bringing it up or having a little bit of proof, you know, pictures on your cell phone or whatever, it seems like it's not quite enough. Now, because of this, people are also looking down on a lot more closet cosplays, and I've noticed people are getting very particular about accuracy in cosplay. So it's okay to have a design where you divert from the original animation or the original design of that costume, as long as you're adding in embellishments or extras that look even better. But when someone puts together a costume and it's missing a piece, or someone puts together a costume straight from like the clothes in their closet, people are looking down and poo-pooing those types of cosplayers much more than when I first started doing cosplay. So when I was going to my first couple conventions, I would say probably about 50% of cosplayers either had made or bought like a full costume, and then 50% of the other cosplayers I saw kind of put it together. So you might not have like a perfect Sailor Moon outfit, but you would have a couple items from your closet, like a pleated skirt and a white top and maybe a sweater tied around and your hair up in like the Sailor Moon do. And you would go to a convention and people would still talk and interact with you. And because there were so many other closet cosplayers, you didn't feel quite as left out or like you didn't quite fit in. Now, it seems also that people seem honestly confused when you are wearing a very nice outfit that you have handmade, but you don't want to enter into a competition. And this is a pressure that I have felt significantly over the past couple years, where I went from kind of casually doing cosplay to really pushing my creative self to like work a little bit harder, work a little bit better. And I have told people, and you've probably seen my videos, I entered into New York Comic Con's virtual contest they did during COVID because I made Elderwood Aubrey from League, and I really was really proud of that work and I wanted to enter it in. And after the competition, I was like, I don't think I want to do any more competitions. I don't think they're right for me. But people continue to bring that up. And I have met many cosplayers in real life that seem to be honestly confused when someone has like a social media presence or something where they do cosplay and they like to interact with others and show it off, but they're like, hey, I'm just doing this for fun. I don't want to get paid. I don't want to compete. And people are like scratching their heads going like, well, what else is there? Why else would you be doing this? So again, being seen in cosplay, more important than actually wearing it, or even just having fun and being goofy. I always recommend, if you're not having fun in cosplay, you need to figure out a different way to do it. That's how you should be doing it. Okay, let's move on. So, as everyone knows with social media, we are coming upon one of the first problems that I feel like has ever happened in history, which is that you are not being compared to people in your own circles or your local groups or even your regional groups. You are now being compared to people all over the world at all times, at all skill sets, all levels, everything. No matter what you do, whether you are a random social media person, whether you're a random hobbyist for any hobby, any type of art or creativity or anything, you're always compared. But with cosplay, I am noticing the comparisons between cosplayers has gotten significantly worse than I have ever seen it before. And it's really, really hard to not be hard on yourself when there are people out there who you can't help but see, who have significant amount of time, money, energy, resources, practice years, skill sets, affiliations with brands, affiliations with events, like all this stuff. And just feeling like you're a very, very tiny fish in a big pond, and that for some reason, even though there are tons of tiny fish, you can't see the other tiny fish, so you just feel like you're going to get eaten alive in this pond. So not being compared to just your conventions you go to, not being compared to just the people around you that do cosplay, or maybe the people in the whatever competitions you are doing, but you're now being compared to like random people that you will never meet who have nothing to do with you. So in the early 2000s, because I have to bring us back for anyone that wasn't around during this time, we had a lot of very small websites, blogs, forums. We had MySpace back then. We had local conventions. We had in-person events and meetups. Like there were the same types of things, but the capacity for them was much smaller. And the chance that you would see other people's actual pictures or videos in the manner that we see them today, it was not a thing. It didn't exist. So the people that you compared yourself to were either actual celebrities or people who are mostly in your social circles. Now today, we have Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter, which is just mindless scrolling and mindless comparison, whether you want to or not. That's just how our brains work. But we now are also getting a lot of advertisements and Facebook groups promoting things and meetup groups who are full of people who are not regional, are not related directly to you, and really don't have anything to do with you. But the networking itself has just gotten so much bigger. Now, I think people also have a lot more bias than they realize. So we are also absorbing all this content, and without realizing it, we're comparing what we see online to real life. And it's also changing the way that we view how good a cosplay costume actually is. Now, in my previous video, where I talked about Photoshop in cosplay, which eventually I do want to remake that video because I actually have a lot of new points to talk about it. So stick around, watch for that video eventually. But I touched base on how I have seen people just tear down other people's cosplay costumes because they are so used to seeing photoshopped, face-tuned, body-tuned images. They don't know what reality actually looks like anymore, and it's completely skewing their concept of reality. And it's scary to watch because I do notice people younger and younger and younger now are like, they can't post a photo online without a filter. They can't post anything without seeing it first to like approve it. Where if you were to take a random picture of a cosplayer just walking around and you saw their costume, maybe not from the best angle, there's no body tune going on. Maybe you can see there are wrinkles. Maybe you can see like folds and things that don't look great from that angle. People take that as a reality and they bash people like that and consider those costumes to be less than, even though it actually has nothing to do with getting compared to the people who are creating and crafting in the same way. So comparing a real life costume to an edited picture or a video that they've seen online, I really truly also feel that like judges in competitions are getting to this level and maybe they don't even realize it, because again, where does bias come from? It comes from what we absorb every day. And if this is the stuff you're absorbing, people on TikTok making dancing videos and cosplay, and they have significant amount of filters and things on them, well, that's what you start comparing real life to, whether you like it or not. I really wish this had never become an issue because I don't know how we get back from it. But I think as long as we're aware of it and we check ourselves and we stop going, hey, maybe I shouldn't be so hard on myself as a cosplayer because that person's costume doesn't actually look like that in real life. It probably looks similar to this one that I'm wearing, but you'd never know because they don't post that kind of stuff. Okay, let's move on. We're going to talk about competition. And when I say competition, I don't mean entering into competitions. I mean the competitiveness in the community. Now, when I first started doing cosplay, I was a baby. I had never sewn. I had never put together anything. I didn't even know how to like alter clothing. I didn't know how to do jack. I had to learn everything from the ground up. And how did I do that? By going on people's forums and watching very, very, very old YouTube videos. I am so thankful that the community I started in was so open and warm and caring and inclusive. They wanted to include everyone. If you went on and you were like, I don't know how to sew, but I have a hot glue gun. Could I make something with that? People would just be so kind and warm and understanding, and they would give you so many great tips. Hey, no worries, you don't need to know how to sew. Did you know you can hot glue fabric together? Yeah, it's not a big deal. Here, I have a tutorial. Go watch it on YouTube. Today, we are having so many issues with people being in this very, very strange mindset that they can't just be like a fan. They have to be a full-on stan for whatever they're doing. And by that, I mean they have to have the full knowledge, the full skill set, and be able to prove it to other people, which I really don't like. If you have to prove yourself in order to be in a hobby, I would say that that hobby is pretty messed up. You probably shouldn't be around people like that. Again, cosplay is always showing off and saying like, oh, we're such an inclusive community and we welcome everyone, and no matter what your orientation is or what you look like or anything, you're welcome to be in our group. But then people turn around and they do so many things that I really don't agree with. So first off, we have gatekeeping. Now, gatekeeping is going, I have all the answers and I've done this a million times before, but I'm not going to tell you how because I don't want you to know how to do it too. Because if you get better than me, I am not going to be very happy about that. Gatekeeping is a really crappy thing to do, and it's also really terrible because it's saying that you feel threatened by someone who isn't even like close to your skill set yet. It's almost like trying to protect your future self from getting threatened by someone by keeping everyone underneath you. It's also really crappy too, because I just think of how many people out there who would be into cosplay, who would be into trying to like make more things, but they feel very, very little when compared to some of the bigger cosplayers out there, because there are quite a few bigger cosplayers out there who I do feel use phrasing and wording that is not very kind to newcomers. It's kind of like, well, if you show up, you better be really good or otherwise don't bother. And I really don't like that type of gatekeeping. I don't think anyone does. Then we also have a lot of the community that is literally just trying to make money. And when you're trying to make money off a hobby, you're going to be selling products, selling services, or trying to be affiliated with events or brands or things like that. And when that happens, the advice that you give is not what I would call very authentic or natural advice. And with that also comes a lot of issues. So we have a lot of visibility now when it comes to the cosplay community because of things like YouTube being massive platforms. But the first people you're going to see in cosplay are the people making money off of it. I mean, there's ads in the middle of their videos. They're trying to sell you certain types of foam or glue or sewing machines because they're affiliated with those brands. They have to in order to make a profit off of you. So you to them are not another community member. You are now like a customer, a client, someone that they will make money off of. It totally changes the dynamic of the relationship of creator to beginner. Like, it's very, very different. So when I first started, again, old school YouTube, old school forums. Does anyone remember cosplay.net? I don't know if it's still around. Man, I would go on there all the time and ask questions, and people were really good. It was a very good fountain of lots of different knowledge. Fandom meetups are also something I've noticed that have been extremely awkward lately. The past 2 or 3 I have been to, I found I just didn't really enjoy as much as when I was younger. And at first I thought maybe it's because when I was younger, I had a lot more energy. I was very hyper as a teenager. And, you know, you get together with your friends and then you go to meetups and it's like an all out, crazy, chaotic, fun mess. I thought maybe it was because my energy's a little bit lower than it used to be. But I've realized it's the way that people like stand at meetups and they seem just a little bit like not as welcoming. And then we also have the competition of the super stands where people are walking around going, yeah, it took me 5 years to make this costume. It also cost me $10,000. Yeah, don't touch it. Just look. We've got a lot of people who, how can I put this nicely, kind of have their heads up their butts and really, really just need the world to know that they're the absolute best. And I'm not going to lie, some of them really are amazing. Like, they do incredible, amazing work. But you don't have to put down others or make other people in your community feel belittled in order to have a good experience yourself. So it's kind of throwing me off. Okay. Gotta scratch my nose. I don't know if anyone else gets fall allergies, but for me, it just sucks. They don't happen all at once. It's like a little bit of like irritated sinuses just for like weeks. And I'm like, please, please let this be over. Okay. Now, one thing that I have heard actually a lot of people, I've watched a lot of YouTube analysis videos where they have like essays, they're talking about going over very specific subjects to social things that are going on right now. One of them that I've heard over and over and over is our hustle culture issue that we have going on, or the grind mindset. Now, for those of you who have not heard of this, this is like a mindset that whatever you enjoy doing should get you either notoriety or it should make you money. You should win awards for it. You should get known for it. You should become famous. You should make money off of it. You should get rich off of it. You should get affiliates off of it. And if you don't get those things, you're not doing it right. There's something wrong with you. I absolutely hate this mindset. And when people start to do this, when I am following a small cosplayer and suddenly they are now affiliated with events and they're now being advertisements for certain brands, I honestly stop following them because they're not releasing the type of content I want to watch anymore. I'm already sold so many freaking things every single day. YouTube videos, ads. Instagram, ads. Even trying to listen to podcasts on Spotify, it's like ads, ads, ads. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, can someone just do something for once just because they love it, not because they need to make money and sponsorships off of it? It's very annoying. But when everyone is trying to make money or win something, like I said before, you are now not just another community member to them in a community that they love and care about. You are someone that they need to make money off of. And so people act differently. They are not acting authentically. They are not giving the best advice. And we start to get into the more recent issue, like I said in my previous video, overconsumption, that we always need to be consuming things all the time, consuming content, comparing ourselves, buying stuff, making stuff, going to things, going to conventions, proving we went to the conventions. Oh, well, now we have to put up edited videos. Oh, now we have to put up edited photos. Now we have to pay a photographer. Like, it's not enough to just sit down in your costumes and look through them and drink a cup of tea and feel proud. You have to do so much more work. Now, like I said, when I first started in the early to mid 2000s, this did not exist. Being sponsored or making money off doing cosplay was about as likely as going to Hollywood and making it as big as, you know, the A-list actors that are going on. Like, if you go to Hollywood, you're probably not going to be the next Angelina Jolie. And that's okay for most people. Like, people can still be actors or singers or dancers and still be like, you know what, I'm okay with that. I don't need that in my life. But because it is looking more and more realistic and the pathway to that is getting a little bit easier to start, people truly believe if I just put up a really awesome video, I can make it as the next TikTok cosplay star, or I can get affiliated with this convention that I love going to, or maybe this brand will sponsor me and I can actually quit my job and just make money doing cosplay. What's funny though is that because this phenomena is so new, I mean, it's barely 15 years old that influencers have been, well, influencers. I think a lot of people are jumping in a little bit head first because you have absolutely no clue what the community is going to look like in 10 years. And I can guarantee you a lot of people who have thrown their entire life into this to make money off of it, this is not going to be a forever thing for them. Even if they've made significant money and fame and notoriety off of this, I don't think it's forever. And I think it's a very risky move to do that. It also feels really weird to talk to cosplayers and to have everyone always talking about that they're always working on projects. Being a hobby cosplayer myself, there is many periods of time where I'm not working on anything. I'm just like enjoying life, or the holidays are coming up, or I just don't really feel like it. I don't feel inspired. There's nothing I want to make. Or maybe I'm like, you know, I have too many costumes. I need to slow it down. I need to go through all my costumes and fix some things, throw some things away, donate some things or sell them before I even think about my next project. And people look at you like you have two heads when you tell them this. As in order to be a cosplayer, you have to be doing cosplay all the time. I do not agree with this mindset at all. And it's weird because this was never a thing when I first started doing cosplay. I met so many people who only went to a convention once a year, and that was just like it. They did one cosplay a year. Sometimes they reused ones. They didn't always need to have something new, and they still had a great time doing it and never felt like they were being compared to other cosplayers or that they were less than other cosplayers. Okay, let's get on to the last point before I go way too far over here. But guys, this is a really important one. And whether or not you've agreed with any of my other points, please, 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 I want you to think about this one because I think that this runs a lot deeper than we'll even touch today. The community used to be a safe haven and a very kind community. So many of us got into cosplay because we were bullied children. We were children that loved things that were unusual. Maybe you like stuff that was dark and spooky and morbid. Maybe you like stuff that was strange and exotic and unusual for the area you lived in. Most of us found this out because liking anime meant having to learn Japanese subculture and a lot of stuff that came with that, and having that knowledge and no one else knows what you're talking about, what you're absorbing, what the hell is anime, why do you watch it, oh it's weird, there's strange stuff in it. A lot of us were just dying for any sort of interaction in any community where we wouldn't be ostracized or like bullied or singled out for liking this kind of stuff. And in previous videos, I did touch base on the bullying aspect was outside of the community, and people came to the community to find kind of like a safer area to be themselves in, whether you wanted to be extremely flamboyant and dress insane, whether you wanted to wear costumes every single day, whether you just love Japanese subculture and you wanted people to talk to about it. It was a really welcoming place, and we had all types of people, and most people in here were very, very open and very kind about it. Lately, I have seen more bullying within our community than outside of it, and I have seen more bullying than ever. I have seen cosplayers tearing each other down, ripping each other's shreds with just horrible, horrible words, comparing cosplayers to other cosplayers, giving unwanted advice. I've even seen like judges at competitions, I don't know, give, I guess, advice that I would not really agree with personally if I were a judge, or to even give awards to people that I'm like, you know what, I don't think that person deserved that award. There was someone else there that showed way better growth, way better skill set for how long they've been doing this, and I don't think it was very fair. But bullying is not always something that is really, really obvious, and our community is always talking about being inclusive, so it feels weird because someone's like, hey, yeah, I don't feel included, I feel excluded, and the community is like, no, we're inclusive. We have every type of person and every culture and every ethnicity. See, we're inclusive. But that doesn't work if people feel like they are getting bullied and harassed for just trying to fit into their community. Also, making friends at conventions has become such a less common thing. And this is the reason why I fell in love with going to cosplay conventions in the first place, was because I made so many friends there. I mean, I still have friends that I see to this day that I met at some of my first conventions. I dated people there. I made lifelong friends. There is such a huge world at conventions, and there's so many different types of people that you can meet. And most of the people that I made friends with were not insanely amazing cosplayers. Like, they did cosplay for fun in the same way that I did it, to connect with their community, to go and just be the strange person that they were in a world that they felt safe. But I will say, in the past, 5 or 6 years, I haven't made a single friend at a convention. And in fact, I have felt that the community itself, like, you go to meet up with friends there, but people are a lot less warm and friendly to strangers, even at meetups, games, and competitions where you should be there to make connections and have a good time and meet other people. Like, it's a social event. It's like people are so individualistic nowadays. It's like they need to feel special for what they do by not letting anyone else feel special. And if you make friends at events, there's like a competitive air to it because, oh, now they do something that makes them feel special, but they're doing it the same way as you. Who gets to feel more special? What if one of you wins a competition, the other doesn't? And I can't even get started on the fake friendships that I see, where I'm talking about like people, cosplayers on Instagram that have like 300 cosplay friends, but really it's just people that they post each other's content so that they get more views, and they probably barely speak in real life. I don't know. Those sort of things just make me feel really icky. I feel that when I first started doing cosplay, my cosplays didn't look amazing. They fell apart pretty often. There was a lot of things that I would change about them. But you know what I wouldn't change is that experience in my life, because it was such a sweet, innocent time. The cosplay community, yes, did have a lot of issues, but in very different ways. The community itself was, again, a great place to meet friends, a great place to interact with others. And I'm sure somewhere out there are people that feel the same way as me. So I'm hoping that, we speak up, we go to events, we be the warm, friendly person that other cosplayers can go, oh my gosh, you actually exist. I'm so happy. I thought I was the only one. We are out there and we're still going to events and we're still cosplaying. And we don't need to be the best. I don't need to make money. I don't need to gain sponsorships. I'm doing this because I love it. I'm doing this because cosplay is really cool. I still feel cool doing it and I've been doing it forever. Okay, this video is very long, so I'm going to close it down here, guys. But thank you so much for watching. If you have opinions, feel free to leave them below. If I connected with you on some level, something spoke to you, please let me know. I really love it when people comment that. And as always, I will be back on to do more controversial opinions. So come back, fight with me, argue with me, agree with me, whatever it is. I'll see you back here. Bye, guys.